game still rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants to smoke, come in the booth. I will rap
He don't want
circles
no
around.
smoke. He enjoying that 150 million, 200 million. He
Okay then, so then leave me alone while I'm on the field.
You was effing with him. He wasn't bothering you.
Really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them. Jim Jones was never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got...
Jim Jones stepped into Shannon Sharpe's podcast like he had something to prove, and lit a fire he couldn't control. With zero hesitation, he claimed not only that he was still relevant to the culture, but that he was more influential than NAS. Yes, you heard that right. The second those words left his mouth, the whole energy in the room shifted. You could almost feel the internet pause, like, did he really just say that? But it wasn't the fans who clapped back. First, 50 Cent didn't drop a name. He didn't post a meme. He didn't even throw a single petty caption. Instead, he went surgical. One move, no warning. Fifth hit Instagram with a federal court transcript. Straight facts, no emojis, no explanation. Just cold, calculated smoke. And just like that, the internet caught fire.
I never got to, see Nas. I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective.
Fans went into overdrive, digging through wiretaps, pulling up dusty interviews, zooming in on grainy street footage, anything to make the puzzle pieces click. They weren't just watching, they were investigating. Meanwhile, Jim Jones, he hit the gym like it was war prep, blasting music, flexing hard, and firing off diss tracks like he's gearing up for a prison yard rap battle. But here's the truth, this mess, it goes way deeper than NAS. This ain't about clout. This ain't just rap egos barking in interviews. 50's post wasn't random. It felt like a quiet missile, a warning shot to the entire industry. A cold, calculated reminder of who's still bulletproof out here, and who barely escaped a federal indictment. But
saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
that's my young boy
big hits.
He's wild.
He looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying? Nas is like a god.
See, Jim Jones might have thought he was just flexing, maybe trying to make a bold cultural statement, throw some weight around. But instead, he cracked open Pandora's box, because every single time Jim name drops NAS, the room gets tight, the energy shifts. And trust, that's no coincidence. Their beef, it ain't new. It goes all the way back to 2002. NAS was in the middle of a Hot 97 meltdown, and out of nowhere, he lit the first match. No warning, no filter. He dragged Cameron, trashed his entire album on air, and didn't even blink. That one moment, it set off a chain reaction. Dipset caught fire. And Jim, he dove headfirst into the flames like he was born for war. What followed was mixtape mayhem, lyrical grenades flying across boroughs, each one louder than the last. But Jim, he took it personal, fast. He started talking reckless, threatening to smack the kufi off NAS, throwing jabs in interviews and doubling down. In the booth, when he dropped We Fly High, that wasn't just a hit.
Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade.
Yes.
So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan. Period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you got to realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that. I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different
But this is where the story takes a dark turn. Because believe it or not, there was a time when Jim Jones actually admired NAS. No subs, no sneak disses, just silence and respect. He used to speak on NAS with nothing but praise. But somewhere, along the line, that admiration, it curdled, turned into envy. And fans, they watched it happen in real time. The exact moment things shifted, Jim stepped into Fat Joe and Jadakiss' podcast. Now Fat Joe wasn't playing neutral. He stirred the pot. He poked the bear. He asked the question everyone dances around. Who's really influential in this game? And Jim, he grinned, like he'd been waiting to be asked. What should have been a spicy little soundbite turned into a full-blown wildfire. Jim didn't just answer. He unloaded. And when the backlash started brewing, he doubled down. No flinching, no hesitation, no walking it back. He let it fly, raw and loud. I'm more relevant than NAS. More influential. Let that sink in. NAS, the lyrical juggernaut from Queensbridge, the mastermind behind Illmatic, the force behind King's Disease. A living legend packing out Madison Square Garden in his 50s like it's nothing. But Jim, he wasn't intimidated. Not for a second. He said it with his chest, and he made.
He always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like, he
Ain't
never
no
had
shame in that. There a lot of folks came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album. I already told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after Bell.
That podcast moment didn't just stir the pot, it flipped the whole damn table, lit it on fire, and let the ashes scatter like shrapnel in every direction. And before the smoke even had a chance to settle, Jim was back. New platform. Same. Fire. But this time, he came swinging with a flam ETHROWER. Don't backpedaling, no watered-down takes. He wasn't backing off. Not even a little. Jim was ready to take that spark and turn it into a full-blown inferno.
Hey, this the biggest podcast you ever been on. You ever podcast you been on bigger than this one.
Hold on. We off topic.
I'm not a podcast.
No.
This is what I do. You see
Name a podcast you been on bigger than this one. When you get big, you get invited to Club Shay Shay.
This is what I do.
Nas get invited to Club.
Jim Jones pulled up on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco Johnson, allegedly to clear the air. But let's keep it real. He didn't bring water. He brought gasoline. Instead of calming the storm, Jim walked straight into the fire and poured fuel on it, one bar at a time. No backtracking. No cleanup crew. He looked straight into the camera and made it crystal clear. He meant every single word. Shannon Sharp wasn't letting anything slide. From the jump, he came at Jim direct. No fluff, no filters, just pressure. He pressed him hard, and Jim, he stood tall, ready for the smoke. But then came the moment. The line that made fans hit pause, eyes wide, jaws on the floor. Because what Jim said next, it didn't just stir controversy. It cracked the internet wide open. Just when you thought the wild takes were done, Jim spun the block. Again, he dropped another hot take, digging up that old-school Dipset versus NAS tension from the early 2000s like he couldn't help himself. He started calm, even respectful, claimed he was always a NAS fan, said it with a straight face, but then, he flipped the script. Out of nowhere, Jim said he had surpassed NAS in influence. Then came the spin move. He switched gears, gave NAS his flowers, complimented his style, even called him one of the flyest to ever do it. But no matter how smooth he tried to play it, no matter how many backhanded compliments he threw in the mix, Jim kept circling back to one message. NAS, don't move the streets like I do. Shannon Sharp wasn't having it. Not one bit. He pushed back hard, calling out the contradictions, questioning the logic, and Jim got salty. Fast. So salty, he couldn't help himself. Madep Basad, he flipped the energy, started clowning Shannon's fit like it was open mic night at a comedy club, throwing shade at his clothes, cracking jokes like they were in a full-on roast battle, not an interview. And in the middle of it all, Ochocinco sat back, cool as ever, grinning, sipping, chillin', just enjoying the chaos unfold like it was a pay-per-view main event. Two titans trading jabs, one in a suit, the other in sneakers, and neither one backing down. Then Jim crossed a line, no filter, no finesse. He straight up accused Shannon of bringing him on just to chase views. That's when Shannon snapped. The vibe flipped instantly from cool, collected podcast host to full-blown challenger in the ring. No more polite questions. No more laughs. It was on. Jim had already said he was better than NAS, but Shannon, he wasn't letting that fly. And he didn't just challenge Jim's bars. He came for his physique. 2 shots fired, and not the lyrical kind. This wasn't just a debate anymore. It was a straight-up ego war, and both of them were swinging. Suddenly, the whole conversation swerved. What started as a hip-hop debate took a hard left turn into a full-blown fitness. Face dash off. Jim tried to flip the narrative, tried to turn the heat into a who's really built like that moment. He wasn't just defending his lyrics anymore. Now, he was challenging Shannon Sharp to a workout war. Stratup called him out like the next battle wasn't in the booth, but in the weight room. But forget the bars. Forget the beats. This was about dominance, about ego, about who could outflex the other on camera. Jim wanted to prove he wasn't just talking strong. He wanted to show it, even if he had to do it with reps, not rhymes. While Jim was busy puffing his chest and talking gym reps like it was a flex-off, 50 Cent had already made his move. Quiet, slick, lethal. No hashtags, no diss tracks, just that cold, haunting label still hanging in the air like a loaded weapon. Individual one, a federal term, a silent threat, and it hadn't gone anywhere. While Jim barked in the spotlight. Fifth moved like a ghost with a loaded file. And as all that played out behind the scenes, the internet went ballistic. Comment sections turned into war zones. Fans drawing lines in the sand, choosing sides like it was versus meets court case. Receipts were flying. Old interviews resurfaced. Nobody was holding back. Twitter, IG, Reddit, all on fire. And one thing was clear. This wasn't just rap beef anymore. It was a full-on reckoning. Fans couldn't believe what they were watching. A retired NFL Hall of Famer out here defending NAS harder than half the rappers in the game. Wild One fan wrote, Shannon did what Fat Joe and Jadakiss should have done. Another didn't hold back. Jones, you delusional. And more voices chimed in. Shannon, thank you for calling it out. And honestly, they had a point, because now the question was echoing across social media, loud and clear. Why were Joe and Jada so quiet during that first podcast? Why didn't they press Jim? Why didn't they challenge the take? Were they protecting egos or playing politics? The silence. It was starting to feel louder than the disrespect. While Jim kept barking and Shannon kept clapping back. 50 Cent was posted in the shadows, watching the whole circus unfold, and trust. He wasn't laughing. But just when it looked like the noise might finally die down, the petty hit Full Throttle. Fans went digging, and they struck gold. An old clip resurfaced. Boom. Total disrespect. Back in the day, Jim Jones didn't just get ignored by NAS, he got laughed off the stage. Straight up humiliation. And now, in 2025, that footage was spinning back around, recycled like fresh ammo. Same disrespect. Only now, it was louder, messier, uglier. But even then, it still wasn't over. Because, while NAS stayed silent, and Shannon flexed his Jim receipts, one man was still quietly keeping score. 50 Cent. And the moment he heard Jim Jones say he was better than NAS, he didn't argue, he didn't debate, he didn't even blink, he just laughed. No words, just receipts. From the bottomless vault of petty FF pulled out one of the most loaded rumors in hip-hop history and reignited the fire with one single post. The caption, cold, surgical, brutal, individual one. That's it. And the internet lost its mind. Because if you know, you know. Individual One ain't just a slick nickname. It's a federal label tied to one of the most infamous wiretaps from the Tekashi 6ix9ine and saga back in 2018. The implication, Deadly .50 didn't need a verse, didn't need a podcast. He let the paperwork speak louder than any diss track ever could. During the 6ix9ine trial, prosecutors played a wiretapped phone call, one allegedly linked to Jim Jones. He was never officially named. In court, he was simply referred to as Individual One. On that tape, a voice was allegedly giving orders to violate Tekashi, retaliation for snitching on the set. Now let's be clear, Jim's voice was never confirmed. He was never charged, but in the streets, on the blogs, and especially in 50 Cent's mind. That clip became legendary. And now, with Jim running wild on podcasts, poking at NAS, trying to bait him into a lyrical war, 50 saw his moment. He dipped into the Instagram archives, pulled out a meme he once deleted, and reposted it. No caption, no context, just shade, ruthless, surgical, cold. And just like that, the whispers came creeping back. Say it ain't so, Jimmy. Flashback to 2019, the Shade Room dropped a courtroom bombshell from the Tekashi trial. A verified court reporter claimed 6ix9ine, under oath, had named Jim Jones as a member of the 9 Trey Bloods. And you already know, 50 Cent couldn't resist. He jumped straight into the comments. Then came the now infamous video. 50. All sarcasm and smirking fear. I'm afraid for my life. I mean, Jimmy is gang. The internet, dead laughing. But Jim, he wasn't laughing. You could see it, the tension in his shoulders, the forced smile, the clipped responses. The post hit a nerve, and here's where it gets even wilder. Because all this drama, this blood in the water, it didn't even start with NAS. 50's real smoke with Jim that's been simmering for years. The NAS comment, that was just the excuse, the perfect spark to drag Jimmy back through the mud. Because this beef, it runs deep. Back in 2007, 50 made a bold chess move, brought Jim Jones and Juelz Santana out on stage during a G-Unit concert, right when Dipset was falling apart behind the scenes. And that move, it didn't sit right with Cameron. It looked like public sabotage, a slick power play, a public jab at a moment when the crew was hanging by a thread. And from that day forward, the tension between 50 and Jim was locked in. Not just rap beef, not just trolling. This was a long game. And now, in 2025, the fire is back. Fast forward to 2019, and boom, Jim Jones gets hit with the infamous label, Individual One. The feds played the wiretap in open court, and even though Jim was never charged, that label, it stuck. A digital scarlet letter, burned into hip-hop memory. And the internet ran wild. Snitching, rumors exploded, and they still haven't died down. Behind the scenes, Jim saw it all. every shady post, every meme, every silent shot from 50 Cent. And for a moment, Jim went ghost. No rants, just one quiet post. A throwback from the Bird Gang era, soaked in Dipset nostalgia. The caption, "Why you keep lying, lol. I'm going back to sleep. Free Mel Matrix till it's reversed." That last line, "Free Mel Matrix," that hit deep. A public salute to his longtime brother, serving 11 plus years on racketeering charges. But it wasn't just love, it was a subtle jab, a way of telling 50, you're out here stirring fake drama, while the real ones are doing real time. But Jimmy wasn't done. He came back swinging. Another post, this time, Jim Energy, full throttle, shirt off, flexed up, energy on 10. The caption, "Somebody tell Shannon Sharp, don't start ducking now. You're gonna talk like a podcaster or walk like a champ. My sneakers tied. You challenged me in front of the world. Might as well finish the job." And just to spice things up, he threw a slick jab at Ocho too. He don't want to do it in public. Cool, let's take it private. No backing down. No filter. Just smoke. Jim had entered battle mode. In this time, it wasn't about verses. It was about pride, legacy, and settling scores. In public or private, Jim wasn't backing down, not even a little. He made it real clear. I know his rep as an athlete's on the line, but where I'm from, we don't duck, no challenges. Size don't matter, run it. While 50 Cent kept trolling from the sidelines, Jim was out here suiting up like it was wartime, and just when folks thought the smoke might finally clear, Jim lit the match all over again. Another spicy post hit timelines like a right hook. "If you 40 and up arguing with me about NAS, you already lost." Boom, a generational jab. Landed clean. Then he doubled down, calling out the OGs for falling for the bait. According to Jim, every time Mel Matrix goes viral, his own streams spike. This ain't beef, it's marketing 101, a masterclass in how to move pieces in the new era. He painted the old heads as stuck in the past while he's out here adapting to the new rules of engagement. Why? All mad at how the game runs today. Tighten up. And then came the knockout caption that had timelines buzzing. "I said what I said, P.S. I'll wrap circles around any artist from my era. Whoever dares to step in the booth, bring a bag with you, cause this game ain't free. We outside. In the field, take that how you want. Just know moves are being made daily." But here's the wildest part. Through all the noise, all the flexing, all the digital warfare, Ass stayed silent. No tweets, no shade, no subliminal S. Just calm, controlled, unbowed. Meanwhile, Jim's still swinging into the void, still claiming he's more influential than the God MC himself. And fans are not having it. Because everyone knows, if NAS responds, it won't be a rant, it won't be a podcast, it won't even be a diss track. It'll be lyrical execution. Simple, precise, fatal. Right now, Jim's making noise, but NAS is letting silence do the talking. And 50 still in the background. Quiet, calculated, watching, because when 50 goes silent, that's usually the moment right before the bomb drops. And if that unreleased wiretap really exists, Jim might just talked himself into something deeper than rap. He's out here flexing for likes, chasing Jim Clout. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's gone eerily quiet. So now the real question is, will NAS step in and end this with bars? Or will 50 let the streets speak the truth? After it's already too late for Jim to run, if you're feeling the heat, like, comment, and subscribe. Share this madness with someone who still thinks Jim's just trolling. Because trust, this ain't over. More chaos is on the way. See you in the next one.